Welcome back to the Health Simplified podcast, and we're on episode 3, and I couldn't be more excited because Jennifer is going to share her story about how she became a kidney donor to help donate to her family member, and also how she had to lose 100 pounds to do so. So I'm not going to steal any more of her thunder, and she's just going to get right into it.
Yeah, so again, Nate kind of outlined, my journey losing 100 pounds and then also becoming a kidney donor. So to kind of back things up a bit, in October of 2020, I kind of found myself at the worst health of my life, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally. When I got to this point, I realized, I have a problem. I need to prioritize my health. So I turned to, against his favors, I turned to a low-carb diet, like anyone has in those few years before COVID, because it was a fad diet at the time. Still continues to be so a little bit here and there, but my problem was I struggled to stay on board with it. Even though I saw some weight loss, it was just super hard to stay to, just because it's so structured and so strict. Not only that, but I was going through the stress of looking to buy a house and just touring all the homes with my parents at the time. So there was a lot going on at that time. So throughout that stressor, I would find myself turning to food and other vices just to kind of get through some of that stuff. But then in early July 2021, my family actually was thrown into something we never expected to have to go through. We learned of a shock diagnosis of a family member of mine being diagnosed with end-stage renal failure, to the point where they would need to start dialysis immediately. The second that we learned about this, I immediately started looking into other options, including living direct organ donation. Through that, I started testing at one of the hospitals in our area on October 15th of that same year. And quickly, I found out that I was a match based on the HLA phenotyping. Although the center was not a huge fan of me doing low carb because it can be hard on your kidneys, so I had to stop doing that diet. But of course, stopping that diet, I stopped seeing any weight loss. But I was still able to meet the testing center's requirements for certain tests because of being off that diet. Unfortunately, due to a different lab value not meeting the requirements, they wanted to have me undergo a liver biopsy. I don't know about you guys, but going through test after test after test and then being told, oh, by the way, we're going to put you on a table and do a biopsy of one of your internal organs, not really something I wanted to go through. They also wanted me to see a different specialist and wait another 6 months before retesting. I drew the line there and started researching different centers to look into for a donation. I eventually settled upon a well-known teaching hospital in our area that my family member had previously been evaluated at and set a date for evaluation. So March 22nd, yes, if you count that right, that is 10 months since the original diagnosis. This process takes forever. So if you're looking into it, just be patient. It will progress. So I had my second evaluation at that center. It included a crap load more blood and urine tests. I spoke with countless people, including social workers, psychologists, donor advocates, a transplant coordinator, and many physicians, including nephrologists, dietitians. Even after all this testing, I had to complete what they call a litholink test. It didn't give favorable results, so then I kind of had to change up my diet to meet some of those markers, and he kind of helped me figure out how to get through some of that. And I had to wait, 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, it was like 4 to 6 weeks, and that test is not an easy test to pass. No. I'm telling you what, there was probably 10, 15 pages that I had to read through, being a dietitian and being very knowledgeable. about all of that stuff, I mean, it is, you got to pretty much eat perfect. You have to do a lot of research. There's a lot of foods that can throw the test off, skew it. Hydration's key. So yeah, we really had to sit down together and really come up with a battle plan to attack this test. And I'm not going to spoil the results.
Yeah, I ended up changing my diet completely. Thankfully, Nate was a godsend, and you basically modeled your diet after what I could do too. So that was really supportive. So then I came and redid the test about 6 weeks later, and then came one of my favorite days since that diagnosis. June 30th of 2022, I got the call that I was accepted as my family member's donor. We scheduled the surgery. We had to push it out a little bit after we got a little closer just because of some illnesses going on. And I also had to still focus on losing a little bit more weight just because centers have BMI requirements, even though we'll stay on our hill that BMI is BS. But going through this whole process, the whole losing weight, changing diet, like none of that mattered at that moment. Like all I cared about was I was accepted. I didn't care what else I had to go through. Nate can attest, like the emotions that were felt up to the day of surgery, being wheeled back into the operating room, were intense. I'd be crying for no reason. I was dealing with anxiety and depression, being antsy for the day to come, lacking patience. I don't know. It was worth it to me just to go through that entire process, despite all the emotional roller coasters we had to go through. But after all of that, it's a great ending to my story, to that chapter at least. Since surgery, everything went great. My recipient is doing fantastic. They haven't had to do dialysis since surgery. Everything's looking up. Initially after surgery, like most people after surgery, you lose a little bit of weight because you don't want to eat. It's not healthy. But since then, I've maintained my weight since the day of surgery. And even though I've not lost weight since, I've seen so much more benefit than just the number on the scale, between health markers and just overall body composition. It's interesting to look in the mirror and see your body changing, even though the scale isn't. So that's something I feel like a lot of people struggle with, is not seeing that scale move, but failing to see, the overall body changes, that like your skin your clothes fit better, just overall confidence. Honestly, I don't think I would have been able to go through this process without the love and support I received from my family, my friends, especially Nate, as he helped me through the emotional roller coasters and dietary changes we had to make, and telling me to stop Googling all the test results. He's been amazing at helping me drop weight when I needed to in a healthy way, through diet and exercise. It's still a program I use to this day, as I prepare for my next chapter, since I've lost so much weight. Skin elasticity doesn't stay with you very well as you lose massive amounts of weight over shorter times. So in a couple weeks, I'm going in for a skin removal. So I'm really pumped about that. Do you want to speak about some of the things you noticed while I was donating?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, first of all, when it comes to this whole process, it's a long process. It's not easy. It's not easy for the person that's, getting ready to donate their kidney to whoever it is. If you're choosing to do that, that's phenomenal. Like, watching her go through it and the challenges and the struggles, you just have to have a lot of resilience. As much as we don't like BMI as a dietitian and personal trainer, as much as I just do not like it, there's a lot of holes in it. at the end of the day, there's a lot of, when it comes to deciding if you're somebody that can do it, they've got research to back up that, like, if this person has this and this, they are good to go. So as frustrating as that may be, just kind of grit your teeth about it. It's an emotional roller coaster, especially through all the testing.
76 vials of blood I counted.
Yeah, 76 vials. Hey, there you go. 76 vials of blood, right? It's just a lot. It's mentally taxing. Definitely make sure you have support from a loved one who is willing to support you, is all I can say to that. Yeah, you're right. Your body does change. Sometimes I know your energy levels are up and down from day to day, but overall I think they're pretty good. But yeah, it's a long road to recovery. Long road to recovery. There's a lot of things to take into account, from your nutrition to your recovering. If you're going to want to get back into the gym, it does take some time. So, give yourself that grace to see those changes. And then, kind of when it comes over to the skin removal surgery here, yes, it doesn't matter how, if you lose a ton of weight, right? Don't let anybody fall victim into selling you something, on the internet. This is going to help your skin feel so much better. The elasticity is going to come back. Depending on how much weight you have to lose, sometimes that elasticity will not come back. It doesn't matter what supplementation you do. It doesn't matter how good your nutrition is. It doesn't matter any of those. You may have to have a medical professional, a plastic surgeon, go ahead and medically remove that skin from your body, because it could be causing harm. One of the biggest reasons that she chose to do it was it did causes pain and discomfort. And if you're somebody that is wanting to do that, there's no shame in it. Mm-hmm. Do it. Absolutely do it. I know she has some weight left to go that we're trying to get her down before surgery. But yeah, there's no shame into it. If you want to do that, some insurances do cover it. We're fortunate that our insurance company covers. Her insurance covers almost all of it. Mm-hmm. Documentation is key, and stuff like that. Really, honestly, at the end of the day, that's really all I've got left to really add to this amazing story. And it's super, super powerful to watch her do something I think is very selfless, and giving something to someone that can really benefit from it. And we're definitely people that are very, 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 very huge advocates for organ donations. I think I see so much value into it. It wasn't something I completely really understood a lot until meeting you and getting to know you, and then really kind of delving deep into it. But if you're not an organ donor, I highly recommend it.
Just got to go to the DMV when you get a license, and you can check a box to be an organ donor after you're no longer living. Hopefully that's not for a long time, but you can save countless lives if you choose to do so. If you're interested more in learning about living organ donation, it's not something to take lightly. It is a huge decision. If you do have some questions about it, you feel free to reach out to us. We can give you what we've learned through our experiences, and what we can answer, we can try to help you find the right resources.
Absolutely, yeah. And as we wrap up here, is there anything else that you want to add?
Happy almost 6 months to my recipient.
Yeah, crazy to think, 6 months. Honestly, where the time go, I tell you what, the older we get, the faster time goes. But, as we wrap up here, super powerful story. Jennifer went ahead and shared. Show your support. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching it on Spotify or Apple, give us a 5-star rating. Add it to your favorites so you get the notifications when we post out new episodes. We try to put out new episodes every single Monday or Tuesday. We like to have that floating because sometimes life happens and we don't get it out till Tuesday, but we really try to get new episodes out every Monday or every Tuesday of every single week. And then coming next week is she gave her story. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to top that, right? My story's powerful. Don't get me wrong. How I became a dietitian, why I do what I do. But yeah, nothing's going to top that. So tune in next week for my story. And if you don't, I get it. But with that being said, from the bottom of my heart, all of our listeners so far, we've loved the support. And if you want to know anything about, becoming a kidney donor, understanding the process or any of that, becoming an organ donor, just shoot us a message. We'll put all of our information in the show notes. You can reach out to us on Instagram. You can reach out to us via email. Just reach out to us and let us know how we can help and how we can serve you. With that being said, everyone take care, and I'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye, guys.